What if fear wasn't the enemy, but the path to freedom? In this episode, Julie shares how courage became her key to clarity, how she built wealth through real estate, and how you can transform fear into freedom too.
I just want people to know that they have it. It's in them. And most of us just need to recalibrate. And that's all we need to do. We just need to go through a recalibration process and we're going to be golden. Like, shed the old skin, find the treasures in the past, and like, get going. Like, life is too short for us to not be doing that. Life is too short to live in the past. Life's too short to be hustling for the future. Like, just like be present, enjoy the process, buckle up, and like have a life that's lived.
And there we go. Hey, Julie, how's it going?
It's going awesome. I've been looking forward to being able to have this conversation with you.
Me too. Exactly. Me too. I know we spoke before over text and stuff, but I always hear awesome things from about you. And since I started this, I said, okay, this is a great opportunity to make it happen. And I want to welcome you. Thank you for your time. And also tell you that you have the, what's the word? Let's say pleasure. I'm today starting the new background. So I did some renewal here and now I have a background. Before I didn't.
It looks awesome, and I'm just curious what books are on the shelf back there. I see all sorts of good things.
Okay. Yeah. A new one that my wife got me, which is from Gary V. Um, Jab, Jab, Right Hook. Tools of Titans, which I'm reading. Tim Ferriss, really good. Um, our coach, my coach at least, high performance coach, Jay Teagues, Life on Defense. Haven't started, but I got the book. Uh, the Power of Discipline. I think my wife read it. I haven't, so I'm not really sure what it is. And Think and Grow Rich and How to Influence People. So yeah. Oh, there's more there.
There are.
Uh,
And then there's the stack of white books, or it's not a stack,
yes,
it's
yes,
right. White
because
covers.
she's kind of. I built in our bedroom some shelves for her, and there she has all divided by color because she's like that. I don't know the word, so she brought me some of the white books.
It's good.
We have there. We have there. Let them start with why, which I both read. Turning Pro and the
That's a
12
must
year
read.
book.
Turning Pro is a must read for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The
So
first
those
time
are the
I picked
books.
it the first time I picked up Turning Pro, I couldn't read it. I literally couldn't understand it. It did not resonate at all. And then I went back maybe a year later and picked up the book and just got sucked in. I'm like, all of this all makes sense. How did this not make sense to me before? And that's just a cool thing about being on the journey of life, is that things make sense when they need to make sense. And we don't have to force it. We don't have to make it happen. We can just simply be in the process and enjoy the process of becoming.
Yeah, you were not ready. The mindset was not the correct one. Whatever, it was not the right time. Yes, yes, that's the beauty.
Yeah, it just wasn't the right time. Yeah. I think one book I would add to your shelf on that lower it's your lower left.
Okay, hit me.
Phil Stutz, Lessons for
First
Living.
one.
This
All
book
right.
was phenomenal, and I like his work a lot, but I think that's a must read.
Okay, noted. Noted. We'll go after it after we are done here. Otherwise, I'll forget.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. What's exciting going on? Tell me what's happening.
Wow. I officially have 2 high school students. So that's a pretty deal. wonderful. It's so exciting. They don't need me. So this is a really interesting time because when we allow it, our kids actually shape us more than we shape them, and we're in just such a beautiful time. They're really good teenagers. They're normal teenagers, so when I say they're really good, it doesn't mean that they're not, like, side-eyeing. Like, they I get the side eye, I get the, like, I get all the stuff, but they're really good human beings, and so it's been really fun watching them start this new chapter of life, and then for my husband and I to actually see the other side of what things look like because they don't need us or want us as much, and that's normal, and that's giving us more time together. And so it's been really an interesting last few months, very exciting, a little sample of what's to come in just a few years. And I'm really enjoying that while I'm going through so it's like identity level recalibration constantly in my life. It's awesome.
Wow, that's a lot of change. I
Yeah.
resonate with that. My son is 15 and he is a sophomore now. Sophomore? Yes. Yeah. I'm still struggling with the nomenclature. So you
Yeah.
are first a freshman, sophomore, then junior and senior. Yeah. So, but my son was always, I'm trying to picture your kids. My son was always to himself. So I didn't feel like this separation. I don't know. Like, okay, his high school now, yes. The challenges are different. We try to put him in his head that, hey, wake up. You have to dedicate yourself. It's taking a while, but yeah.
And they get it. They totally get it. So, this is our first year with our son is driving and has a job, and then he has his own discretionary cash, and it's really fun and interesting. He'll invite me places, which is super cool. He'll be like, "Hey, you wanna go to Subway and get a sandwich?" Like, he'll just you know? And to me, it's very privileged, which, 'cause it becomes an option, right? The relationship becomes more optional as you get older, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
getting these invitations into life and into what I call, like, front row seats to life is just, to me, very privileged and something I don't take for granted, and I think that even in marriage, which on my podcast this week, it happens to be a marriage focus, so I'm, like, really hyper focused on it at the moment, and so it's interesting because, really a lot of times, even within marriage, we have a front row seat to our spouse, to our partner, and we kind of just, like, dismiss it, and we don't enjoy it the way we should.
Okay, that's already profound. Tell me more. What have you learned? I am, yeah. And you get what I asked that. Well, I'm curious in general, but I'm asking that because next week, September 10th, it's our 20th anniversary.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. You're ahead.
Yeah,
We're at 19, we'll be at 20 next year. Yeah,
yeah.
so we
But in
could rip
total, we
and
are 29 years together.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're only like 22 or 23 years together. So, yeah, you
Yeah.
guys yeah, you've got the
It's not a
longevity there.
competition, so it's just information.
Well, what's interesting is that we're both in those similar positions probably where we're seeing our peer group where those marriages are I don't wanna say failing because I don't like that word for it, but you're seeing marriages where the intentionality wasn't there, and it's so easy. Those years, especially if you're raising children, you're a family. Even if you don't have kids, you're a family. So I always hesitate with that also. And so your family's expanded. It includes these little people that need you in so many different ways, and you're distracted. And so we're starting to see some of those relationships where even if they're staying together, we weren't intentional about our marriage. And a few years ago, we became extremely intentional because we were going through a lot of marriage struggle. And so I'm grateful that struggle happens, I'm grateful that hard happens in life because it surfaces the very things that we have an opportunity to grow with. And so for my husband and I, that's it's been hard because we've both had to look at some of the areas where we need to do a lot of improving. And so, but we've both been doing that work, and there's something so sweet. We stuck together through some really, really rough years. And the other side of that is so sweet because we do have decades together. And so I can't imagine life with someone else trying to fill that void, and then to be able to repair ruptures in the relationship and to restore and rebuild and then prepare for this. Wait, we're going to have life in just a few years without these other awesome humans in our home. They're going to leave, they're going to go start their own lives, and that's what they should do. And so it's been beautiful.
Yeah, I can relate to a lot to what you said. Yes, and while you were saying, the only thing I can think of are the little special moments that we have almost every day. That we, since we both work from home, we try to stop and have a coffee together, and that leads us to chat, and we love those moments.
That's front row. That's the like front row seat, and I'm aware of it. We usually go for a walk once or twice a day, and that's something that's been new. We've done a walk a day for a year or two, but now that we've got these teenagers that want more autonomy, which is great. That's normal and natural. We've been pouring into each other more and spending. We're like, hey, you guys want to go walk by the lake? And they're like, no. We're like, okay. And we're not too sad about it. We're like, cool, we can hang out and we can have these really rich conversations. Um, and that's something we had to work for. We both had to lay the swords down, me more than him. I'm a recovering high performer. I don't call myself that anymore. I now call myself a high capacity human because high performer is really so outcomes based, and I really am process based and want to be in that moment, want to be present.
Interesting. High capacity
Mhm.
human
As
being.
some Yes, so I decided that's what I am calling myself, and those are the type of clients that I coach. And so I'm like, you can be a high performer. In fact, most high capacity humans are high performers, and they have drive, they have capacity, they have amazing leadership skills. I mean, they are high performers, textbook. But when we just shift that perspective ever so gently over to high capacity human, we actually humanize it. We actually bring in the wholeness of head, heart, gut. We invite everything to the party instead of just saying like, let's go perform. Um, and on all reality, high performance was good for me when I identified it because I didn't know I was a air quote high performer. And I felt seen for the first time. I felt like I understood myself. And actually, that's probably what opened the gateway to me being able to heal and for my marriage and my relationship with my kids to grow in really healthy ways because I actually understood what made me me. But then I also understood what made me me I mean, like, I'm a driver, and I was really demanding and hard. And I'm like, if I could tell you all the times my kids were hypothermic because we're adventurous, and I'm like, let's just keep going. I'm just push, push, push. And so, so they've got story. We all have stories, and I'm always like, I am so sorry. Thank you for not disowning me as your mom or as your wife. But when we go into high capacity human, now for me, what that says is like, I am this beautiful container and I can overflow. And when I overflow, it's not gross. It doesn't create flooding. It is like a fountain and it creates opportunity and it helps water other people around. It flows It's not like a dam that broke that's in your face. That would be my difference. High performer, I'm a dam. I broke. I'm in your face. I'm flooding your town instantly. And this is what we're doing in psychology, right? You do get flooded. And then high performer or high capacity human, on the other hand, is just like, it's effortless. There's no pressure. There's no need to perform. It's all about presence. It's all about process. It's about just being in the moment and going through.
Definitely. No, the beauty is in the clarity. You got
Mhm.
clarity about you, about your purpose. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Yeah. I call myself a high achiever because I'm always looking to improve myself and achieve things. So, and that works for me. So that's why I say that clarity it's what brings you um, whatever you desire, whatever you want to achieve. The success, which is different for every individual.
Okay, I have a question for you. This is going to be really interesting. Um, can you, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you ever give yourself a 10?
If I ever give myself a 10,
Yes.
every day,
Yes. I love this. Tell me about
every
that.
day, come on. Being here
I
with you, it's a 10 for me because it's success. Okay, I attracted the right people with the right vibration, with the, yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I had a friend ask me. I had an event at my house last year, and I had a friend participate in the event, and I invited this friend. I said, "Hey, will you participate in everything?" Which means you get all the benefits of the event, right? But in return, I want honest feedback. That's all I wanted. So it's over, and this friend says, "Okay, scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this?" And I said, "It's a 10." And my friend said, "Yeah, I I think I think I'm gonna go with 9." And I'm like, "Okay, tell me where you get a 9." And she's like, "Well, there's always room for improvement." And I said, "Well, there is always room for improvement. However, this is the first time I've done this. And this is what I was expecting for this day, XYZ, and these were my own personal goals for this experience, and all of those were achieved. I can see where I can expand the opportunity and grow. And so if I go into another experience and I don't apply that learning, then it would be a 9, maybe even a 7. But for today, this is a 10. I applied everything that I've learned. I've put it here. It went well. So I love hearing that you identify as a high achiever and that you see I am a 10 in that achievement. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times those two don't walk
Oh,
hand in
interesting.
hand.
I didn't know. I didn't know. I think if you have the right mindset, like you just said, uh, she's giving a 9 because there's always room for improvement. But the right mindset is I will be a bit better every day. But
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I'm a 10 today. Come on.
I think hallelujah, amen, because I just don't know how people don't live with, "Did I do the best? Did I do something great today? Did I show up? Did I show up to the game of life today with all of me?" Okay, that's a 10.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thanks for the question. Yeah. brought,
Yeah.
brought brought more clarity for me. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. That's good.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Wow. But I know that you weren't always. Are you saying a coach, high capacity coach, or something like it? Right? I don't
Yeah.
know the right title, so excuse me for that.
No, that's fine.
You weren't always that, and I follow you. Follow the great posts that you've been doing. Um, but the background that I know is from real estate.
Yep.
I'm curious about that transition.
Oh man, this girl's had a lot of cool transitions. So the sequence of transitions is public school teacher, real
Okay.
estate sales agent, public school teacher, homeschool mom, real estate investor during those times, during those years,
Which,
small
allow me,
single
I heard
family.
it's not easy, right? Because also because being a woman, I heard from another guest here that giving that opportunity to yourself, maybe that resonates with you or not. So I interrupted you, and sorry for that.
No, no, you can we're having a conversation, and I don't know about you, but in conversation, sometimes I get excited and I I start
Yeah,
talking.
yeah.
Um, well, I think a lot of what I faced and that I see with a lot of moms in particular is the mom guilt or the duality of, am I nurturing my family? Am I present enough with my family? Or do I have the bandwidth, or I should say, and do I have the bandwidth to to pursue this? And then
Mm,
oftentimes, like, faith in God is really important to me. And so sometimes, depending on what are the culture that we are around, which mine is, very family centric in the world of faith that I'm in. And so that can come with its own pulls to it, which can make it very challenging for women
mm.
to step out. I happen to have such a supportive husband and someone who really truly wants me to be me in that fullness and in the evolution. And I want the same for him. Even when marriage is tough, we've still wanted that. So that's
Yeah.
pretty, that's like one of the cool things right there. I would say that the whole air quote mom guilt was one of the biggest things I had to work through, especially
Okay.
when I started speaking at, real estate events and traveling and, traveling for due diligence when I got into commercial real estate investing. And it was like, oh wow, am I abandoning them? The FOMO. Am I missing out on all of these precious experiences? And here's the other side of that. I want my son and daughter, I'm blessed with 2, right? I want them both to see that you pursue your dreams, you pursue the passion and calling that you see in your life, in your path. And now I have a daughter that is just extraordinary. And she's extraordinary because of her. She's not extraordinary because of me. Okay? So I want to be clear about that, but she has had a role model, and she's heard me process these things aloud. She's heard me ask those tough questions. Am I present enough? Like, do you guys need more? What do you guys think? Do you guys think, like, I've provided some input along the way? Like, you guys can give input. Like, is it too much for me to be gone? Is it this or that? And it's just been it's been a gift. So they're both very independent, very capable, very ambitious in their own ways. And the other element is that a lot of times I can be a hoarder. And I'm saying but I think a lot of people will relate in that I want to be there to pick them up from school. I want to be there making their lunches. I don't make their lunches. They make their own lunches. But I want to be in the kitchen while they're making their own lunches. I want to be in proximity as much as possible. What about my husband? Right? Like, maybe he wants that one-on-one time. Maybe he wants to pick him up and take him to, frozen yogurt or something. Maybe he wants those pockets of time. And so I started looking at things from a lot of different angles, and it was really helpful.
Wow. Wow. I wish we had more like this. And it's a lot of similarities with what we have here as well. We share. I do. My daughters. I have an almost 4 year old, which will turn 4 this year, and the 15-year-old boy. And yeah, I do her lunch. I take her to school, and my wife picks her up. So we share a lot of things. And sometimes when I pick her up and I'm feeling, and it was hot, so Pacific Northwest, and it was hot and almost gone now.
Yeah.
Well, I would take her to an ice cream, or yeah, just enjoying living the moment. Yes.
And to be able to swap that around, or since you and your wife are both, working from home, my husband and I are the same. We're like the weirdos because since they just went back to school this week when we're recording this, and we literally just like we as much as possible, we'll go together. And they're teenagers. It's so funny. We're like, "Oh, we'll drive you to school. We'll pick you up, and we'll do it together." And so that it's nice you can have those like pockets where you're nurturing individual relationships or you're nurturing big relationships. And let me de-glamorize this for everyone for just a moment. When we pick them up, it's not like, "Hey guys, kumbaya, this is so great." It's actually more like hold up a beef jerky stick and whatever snack bar, offer it, and it's silent in the car. I mean, like, it sounds crazy because they just need quiet. They've been around people all day, and I started bombing them with questions because I forgot this, and I caught myself. I'm like, "I'm so sorry. Would you guys like some space?" And it was like, "Thank you." So, like, it doesn't have to be that you're in this deep, rich conversation or that they're dropping the tea, as a Gen Z would say, right, about the day. It's more that it's just that presence, that energy about you that's, "I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, and I love you even if you have nothing to say to me."
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting you say about the weirdos. So my wife and I, we sometimes we go together to either leave my daughter at school, day, daycare. I forgot what's next. So daycare, before she's going to school. What is it?
Preschool?
Preschool. Yeah.
Preschool.
Thank you. Yeah.
I know,
So we
there's so many
either
things.
drop her or pick her up, and we are the only ones that go together.
It's interesting, isn't it? I
It
think it's really
is.
interesting, like, that's why I say we're the weird ones. Like, "Oh, yeah, I guess we're here because go you," but what a it feels like a very privileged position to be in, to be able
Yeah.
to do that together, and a different role model, it's just not common. And it doesn't make it's not an elite statement. It's not, "Oh, well, this is the way it's better." It's just it's different and it's weird, and this happens to be what we've been gifted with, and we value it, and it's interesting, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And just a little bit back about leadership. Leading by example is the best thing that we can do. Takes time. We
Yeah.
don't always see the immediate result, but yeah, it's one of the great things.
Yeah, it is, and I'll tell you that our kids have had a front row seat to life with us. I mean, we haven't been inappropriate, but we haven't hidden things, and they've watched us work through and process and figure things out and overcome the complications that naturally come up in life because you have human beings that are changing all the time. Like, yeah, it's really like you're saying, leading by example. It's powerful.
It is. It is. Okay, now continue. So,
Yeah.
from house mom, school teacher, I think,
Yeah.
and then real estate. I think you stopped it there. I stopped at you there. So
Oh, yeah.
continue.
So, when we moved to far north Idaho, so we're probably like 6 hours apart from each other ish, because I'm up
Wow.
at the very tip of Idaho. And Seattle is like 6, 7 hours away.
Yeah, I'm a bit before. I'm in North Bend. You know North Bend before Snoqualmie.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
I'm there. So
you're
a bit before.
yeah, yeah, like, okay, we're at 5 hours now. Okay, so and you got good skiing there. So, um but when we moved up to North Idaho, my husband actually asked. I was homeschooling at the time. He said, "Hey, would you go back, consider, good question. Would you consider going back to public education while I reestablish my residential real estate business? He didn't say it like that, listener, I promise you, but that just makes it make more sense, maybe. What and why. And so I said, I looked at it, looked into it, landed a job up in this little tiny town called Bonners Ferry, Idaho. Um, and we lived there for almost a decade. Um, and while I was there, I started looking at some of the rental situations that we had and trying to find a better, so like, what's another way to invest? We were long distance landlords at the time. And I thought, what's another? I started, listening to Bigger Pockets, going down the rabbit hole with everyone else in the world, right? And discovered in 2018 syndication and really started getting into it in 2019 and just went like full steam ahead in 2020. We started investing passively in 2019. All that to say, from this tiny town in North Idaho, I had an opportunity. I could have said, I am 2.5 hours away from a small airport, because Spokane is not a big airport, right? I'm like, I was raised in California, like San Francisco airport, like, let's go. So, right. And so I'm like, okay, I'm 2.5 hours from a small airport. There are zero networking groups really in proximity. I don't have access to anyone around me. And I could have just said, boohoo, poor me. I can't become a strong active investor. And instead, I said, well, what do I have working for me? There's this thing called podcasting. Like, have you heard of it, Julie? Maybe try that. So I launched a podcast in a similar to you, right? Where it's how can I do what I want to do and what is important to me, um, and use that to grow this whole other part of my life. And that's exactly what ended up happening. And it was extraordinary.
Wow, I didn't know that. That is. So it's been 6 years now that you have started the podcast. And right?
It
6?
is, this is year five, and I'm at 5.5 years right now, if we're
How
counting.
was
So I retired my real estate podcast with 650-ish episodes.
all
And
right.
then I relaunched because my podcast, I really have always been about integrating everything. If we have all the money in the world, but we don't have our health, what is the point? Like, there is no point. If you have all the money in the world and you don't have the relationships, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
money is just a tool. And yep, it
Mm-hmm.
brings a lot of fun and it opens opportunities, but those opportunities are worthless if the rest of your life is a total train wreck. So I always focused on health, mindset, and wealth building strategies. So then I could incorporate other alternative investing strategies outside of real estate. So I retired that show this year and really niched down into the mindset space, which I don't even like using the word mindset, because mindset is just like how you think about things. And so I'm like, well, we're all thinking about things. But that is what the show is primarily. And it's what's really God's used to bring beauty into my life. I now call everything the recalibration. And so the cool thing about all of this is that if you're not outcome focused, like I have outcomes along the way of where I know where I want to go. I know what I'm trying to generate with my life. And because of that, and it's not just dollars and cents, I'm able to iterate from teacher to real estate agent to teacher, investing during this whole time I was investing, but in, other ways. But it's like, you can do all these things because those are roles. Those are just temporary assignments. They're not permanent, but your identity, who you are, who you believe you are, who you want to grow into, that's permanent. That's forever. That's what we really need to be focused on. And if we're focused on our identity, our roles can shift and adapt, but we don't break down. and we don't have a crisis because we know who we are.
Yeah, you can reinvent yourself. You can do whatever you want. Yes, totally right. Wow. But you have a lot of experience with the podcast. There is any? No, I'm sure there is. What are some of the lessons? When I ask you, okay, tell me the lessons or what the highlights of all this time doing the podcast and connecting with all those people.
Mm.
What comes to mind?
People are so gracious. I'm getting all teary eyed over here. People are so gracious, so kind, so generous. I am overwhelmed by the goodness of humanity. And most people don't see that. But when you humbly reach out to people that are in the world's eyes like stratospheres in a totally different stratosphere, and they're willing to say like, I'd love to support you. Yes, I want to come on your show. I want to help you out. You're just like, who I'm a nobody, and according to the world metrics, you have everything everyone desires, and you're willing to help raise me up. The amount of kindness and generosity in this world, it is the most humbling thing that I gained from podcasting.
Wow, I have no words. Yeah, as I told you before we start, I've been learning so much as well. And I started this because I got clarity about my purpose, about who I am, and I wanted to improve my communications, even because English is not my first language. So, and I'm gaining so much. And you saying that only, emphasize that. Yeah, wow.
And when you approach the world and you see how many wonderful, kind, generous people there are, I mean, if we want to get into the science of it, right? Our reticular activating system actually just starts looking for that everywhere. And thank God for the RAS. And so instead of seeing a lot of the things that I hear people talk about, I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about. I'm like, I just don't even see it. I mean, yeah, sure, maybe there's a bad driver occasionally, whatever. Like, we all have bad days, whatever, But to consistently just see the beauty and the gifts and the kindness is is a gift. So that comes through podcasting, but it overflows because it's then put in as how you view life. And it's like, nope, there are people in this world. And pretty much, I think everyone is kind and generous. I know that sounds really naive, but generally speaking, people want to be generous and kind. And most people really aren't selfish, and if we start to see that selfishness, it's just an indication of something else going on inside of them. They have a story that is buried in them from probably from their childhood or early relationship that is unresolved, and it's coming out in a gross way. And can we just acknowledge there's something going on with you? It's not you, it's this thing in you. Like, we wouldn't look at somebody and say like, "Oh, you have cancer, like, just come on, come run the marathon. Like, what's wrong with you?" We would say like, "How do we take care of you? Like, I can see you're sick. Like, can I give you some broth? Can I help you? Can I?" But when we see people acting in these unkind, more, toxic kind of ways, instead of saying, "Oh, there's a toxin inside of you," we call them toxic and we put a label on them and we say, "Oh, you're toxic." Well, no, actually, they're probably not toxic. They probably have a toxin inside of them that needs resolution. So, that all of that is really like a gift from podcasting and working with so many amazing guests and reading a lot and experiencing life.
Personally, to not act like you just described, I got conscious that, well, I don't know what's the past, what happened to that person, or what the person is experiencing lately. So, if you come from that um, reasoning, you don't judge, basically.
And boy, don't we all like to be on the receiving side of that?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I mean, I get cranky. I give side eye. I get short. I get I'm like I get snappy and snarky. I mean, that's just part of the human condition. So I
yeah.
give and receive.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it seems that it was kind of natural for you to transition and do what you're doing now, right? You didn't have like a point where, okay, I'm gonna change everything, but it seems that it was natural. Am I
It was
right?
it was very natural, and you think about I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit, I've always been involved in real estate, I've always been involved in education, which is leadership, teaching, training, supporting, caring for humans. So I mean, my whole life I've been doing the same thing, and what that title might the title looks different, but what I'm doing is still the same. It's again, going back to roles change, our identity is the same. And so, yep, I've been consistent over the years, but the titles have shifted and changed. And so it's very, very natural to do that. And I honestly started looking as I'm looking at second half of life. And that's such a weird thing to say, but I'm starting to lose sight of what does life look like when I'm 60, 70, 80? Like, what does life look like? Who do I wanna be? And I got kinda sad for a bit because I wasn't quite sure what that meant. And as much as I love real estate investing on the commercial side and syndicating and supporting people in that way, I started to see that the ways where I really helped people shift life that was bigger than dollars and cents was through the coaching that I was doing. And so I made this decision. And for me, it was a very prayerful decision. And it took months. It's like 18 months, actually, to be real, of really just letting myself process through and contemplate and pray and just see like what does this look like. And I didn't have all the words, like even saying second half of life, I didn't have that in month 1 of trying to contemplate that. But when we're willing to stay engaged in the process, we learn more, we see more, and we're able to ingest more. And through that, and then through over those 18 months, I built out identity level recalibration. It was a very thing I walked through. It was a very process that took me from point A to this point of just like opportunity that is so cool and so beautiful and such a gift. And seeing that work in other people's lives now is amazing. But to think maybe I get to be 75-year-old Julie and I still get to be supporting people in this way. That lights me up. That's exciting.
Yeah, I have so much questions, but what I want to say now is, to me, seems like what you're saying is something that, uh, uh, well, I'm not sure about anyone else, but I call it convergence point, where everything you've been doing in your life, eventually you will have several convergences points, and things will just start happening because you planted in the past and whatever you did, and you don't know why you did it, but eventually everything will make sense. That's what it seems that you just described. It's something that is happening to me right now. I asked questions 2 3 no 3 4 years ago. I didn't got the answer. I'm getting the answer now. So
I love that. I've been telling one of my good friends, she has a lot going on. She just finished her doctorate and is doing all this cool stuff. And I told her it's like instead of using convergence, I use the word confluence because there's so many rivers nearby. Right? And where all those rivers come together, it's a confluence. It's like same, like we're so on the same page.
yeah.
And yes, completely. And you know what? I want to ask you this. I'm going to make a statement and ask a question at the same time. I'm proud. I am grateful to myself for not shaming myself. I'm grateful that I didn't say, you messed up, because we're both at an age now where there are some people, lots of people, who have been in a specific career for the last 20 years or give or take 5 to 10 years. And that's a well worn path and it looks a certain way. And my path doesn't look like that. It looks very different. And so I'm really grateful that I didn't judge myself or shame myself that, well, you should have just stayed a teacher all those years and invested passively and done da 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 da. Like I haven't should on myself over the things. So I'm just curious, like, have you had to process through any shame or discomfort or like kind of self judgment with that, with your convergence?
I wouldn't call shame, um, but maybe I would say I always believed in myself, but I recently discovered that yeah, I believed, but to a certain point because I still had some limiting beliefs. Once I lifted those beliefs, I was full on, and I was I I've lived and still live by I prefer to regret what I have done than what I have not done.
Yep.
So the sum of those things in general always led me to keep pushing myself. But now I respect myself as well because when I say push, in the past I was always pushing, and that led me to a break point. So today I'm gonna use push as challenge myself, evolve, but no, not shame. But yeah, in terms of okay, I want to do it, I believe it, but I actually because of Mel Robbins' book, let them. I was giving power to others.
Oh my gosh.
That's what was happening as well.
Have you read, you have to read, if you like Mel Brooks, here we go. Here's another one. You have to read Michael Gervais' book, First Principles.
Okay.
The first rule of mastery: stop worrying about what people think of you. He calls that, which it'll only affirm you at this point, I'm sure, but he calls it FOPO, fear of people's opinions.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful in so many people's lives.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
used to do that. I used to compare myself. So I was kind of a bit mess always in terms of always believing in myself, but not always giving me credit or the potential or what's that syndrome?
Mhm.
Imposter syndrome. But yeah, yeah, bit by bit, I got to the point I am today. I still have a lot to do, but today, the version of me today can realize so much because I'm allowing myself. So
That's so good. And I mean, I think what I'm hearing you say is something I've experienced as well, possibly, if I'm hearing this correctly. And that is, it didn't just go away overnight. And life favors action. And so we take a step forward, we take a step forward, we take a step forward. And that's what we do. And as we do that, as a lot of people say, you get the reps, air quote, right? Like as we do that, we start to see ourselves, we can shift. But it happens over time. It doesn't happen in a single conversion moment. It's not like, boom, oh, all right, I change. It is a slow and steady process that takes time.
yeah, I would say, uh, adding to what you just said, I am the product of successful failures. I've been failing until now, but also being successful, but only because I'm putting myself out there.
Einstein says you haven't failed until you stop trying. So
Yeah,
so every founder, every person, we wouldn't have the world we have if people just gave up, if they took the what you and I think would agree is feedback, if they took that as failure and that is a stopping point, we would not have the innovations that we have today. Because it's
Yeah.
just that feedback, like, love him or hate him, Elon Musk, his story is amazing. Like SpaceX, and the if you look at it from a founder's perspective, it is so powerful. So many roadblocks, so many fails, so many Raptor engines, so many. We got to bundle everything up and fly it to Hawaii. We got to bundle it up. And the only way we're going to do this is if we go and ship all the parts and reassemble somewhere else. Like, just so many hoops to jump through. And then to have things fail, like the world's eyes fail, like launch this thing, it takes millions and it doesn't work, and to approach it and say, no, that wasn't a failure. We're good. We learned XYZ, and that's what we're going to do differently. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's perspective. It really is perspective. Um, and that's something that I'm trying to work here, and I will bring to my community, talking about success and everything, because people only think about success and the level of these people. But no, as I said before, we have so much success every day, the minor stuff to whatever, and that I think is aligned to you understanding what happiness is as well. If you
Mm-hmm.
only be happy when, oh, I'll only be happy when I buy stuff or when I do this, no, no. So it's perspective. It takes time. One thing that I'm doing better today, but I'm still, I don't want to say struggle, but it's still not there, is enjoying the present. Because having my profile in the past, I was always looking in the future.
Yeah.
I do not look to the past. That's okay. But I was always looking in the future. And now I've been learning to live the moment. I still can get better, but oh, have that. It's so much better. I'm able to enjoy my family, to enjoy my kid. I I have a first example since my first one is 15. I could have done better, so I'm doing better with my youngest now. So
Oh, wow. If we could go back and do anything over, right? But, I think there's something with all of that. One, I'd say all things are most everything is slowly then suddenly, right? It's a gradual and then like boom, sudden. And because it's a culmination, nothing happened. I didn't start over drinking. I didn't start abusing alcohol just like instantly. That was like 15 years in the process before I realized I had an alcohol use, misordered relationship. And it's like, oh, and I can see it was very slow, very just like slowly. And then, like, oh, and then it looks like all of a sudden you have this problem. It's like, well, that didn't happen overnight. You didn't pack on the extra 25 pounds overnight. You see people who are pregnant, they're expecting, and you see them one day, they tell you, oh, we're going to have, an addition to our family. And you see them a little bit later, you're like, whoa, you have like 5 kids now. Like it's it, everything is very much like slowly and then suddenly, but it's all those little small things along the way that stack up. And so those micro choices that we make every single day are so important. Like really showing up. And I will add that I think that looking back, I used to only look forward. I feel very similar. I used to only look forward because I can't change the past. It's in the past. And, right, when we think about fear and we think about anxiety, I mean, like it's tied to the past or the future. So it's like, okay, let me just be present. Now I'm really enjoying looking at the past. I'm really enjoying like the totality of the landscape of life. To be able to say, that's who I was, and she was really great. And actually, I really she's still in me, and wow, let's dust that part of her off because that really brought a light to the world in a different way, and somehow we forgot about it. So it's like something getting stuck in the pantry, deep in the pantry cupboard. And you're like, oh, we totally forgot that we had these chocolate chips. Bummer. We'll have to eat them now. And so you find good things when you go for a treasure hunt. And it's fun to look to the future because now I can look to 80-year-old self and be like, oh, she's really amazing. And I don't have to rush to get there. I don't have to it's cool because I know that the process has just led so well that I can trust that for the next part, which allows me to be present in this moment because it's the only thing that I want to do right now is talk to Fernando. Like, that's it. Like, that's the coolest thing in my life. This is a 10 right now. Right. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's it's like a like 360 view of the whole thing.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. But in terms of looking to the past, but you're talking about realizing the things we've done, right? That's what you're talking. Not like, oh, I was like that in the past, or you know. Um, and I understand because the other day, because of the podcast here and stuff, I was okay. Another realization. I started this in terms of okay. I like to connect. I want to get better at communicating. But then I discovered that it's not only talking. There are two other parts to this, which is listening, which I was terrible. Ask my
Oh.
wife. Ask my wife. And writing. So I've been writing
Mhm.
a lot. And the other day I stopped and said, okay, I'm going to write, let's say, my story. So I went back and started writing things about success, about my life, and my perspective. And that was a great exercise. I learned a lot from that.
Mm.
I've been remembering stuff. So I think that's similar to what you just described. And it was a great exercise.
It's such a good if we can look back on the past without without labeling it with shame. Because there are areas of in my past where I could easily just be embarrassed and ashamed, but all of that actually shows me even more about, well, I should probably look at that. What's going on? And actually heal that. Over the last several months, my husband and I've both been, he's been doing it longer, but I've joined him in story work, which is looking at your story from your childhood and not in a blaming, shaming, condemning sort of way. But I mean, I study founders, I study human beings. That's what I study. And I happen to be a human being. And I should probably study myself a little bit and see, like, well, what's the story? What are some of the. I discovered that I had abandonment in my past. And, like, oh my gosh, everything looks all fine on the outside, but when I went back into my story, I saw the little story arc of like, oh my gosh, I felt abandoned, and because I felt abandoned, I really felt this need to belong, and part of my belonging actually got tied into alcohol. Like, so you start to see like, oh, what was driving all of these things? There's a deeper story beneath it. So it's you want to know the why behind the what. And so
Mhm.
sometimes looking to that story in a very open way is such a powerful gift. And then doing that work, like my husband and I are doing that work together. And so now it shifts even our dynamics in our marriage because we can see each other's stories playing out. He knows my story of being the baby of the family, being the only girl, feeling left out a lot. And that's not because anyone was mean or unkind or I was mistreated. It's just I was the only girl and I was the baby of the family. Like that story makes a lot of sense in the 1980s, right? Like, yeah, the guys want to go do guy stuff, leave the girl out. And so like, that's just normal. Like that. So it's not, oh, they're mean, they're bad, rotten. It's just that is so normal. And how does that show up in how I respond to my husband? How does that respond with how I might nurture my kids if I'm nurturing from that unhealed, unresolved story that's been driving my life, I'm actually going to be imparting that story into their life. But if I can engage that story and just acknowledge it and say, like, oh, well, okay, I can see why that, I can see it. Okay, now I can move forward in a really healthy way.
But when you mentioned shame, what you mean?
Yeah.
What were you ashamed of? Yourself? The things you did?
Oh.
What was it?
I for a while, I am the very fir I have a previous marriage, and for a long and it was a terrible marriage. There's a reason why it was a previous marriage. And so, I felt I was abused, and I'm the first person in my family line to be divorced. And in my faith culture, that's so important to me, especially growing up in impressionable years, you did not get divorced. That was frowned upon. There was shame associated with that. And so, for so many years, and because I had verbal and emotional abuse, I didn't have high performer, didn't know it then, right? But high performers want to see something. They want results, right? You can't just be what I call I was suicidal with a smile. So nobody knew my inner world was a train wreck. But if all of that abuse was shown in bruises and wounds and such, people would have come to my aid and they would have intervened and they would have done stuff. And so I had to really like, that is something I had to do a lot of work around shame because I felt like I had failed. I felt like it was my fault. I owned. So I had to do so much processing and releasing other people's opinions. Like, you can't be the first person to get a divorce. You can't go walk through the doors of back then. And you can. And if you're listening to this, please never not go to church because of the people. People everywhere are messed up. Like, I went back to church because of God. I'm like, you know what? I wasn't coming here for the people anyway. I was coming because I love God and I want to worship God. So I'm gonna keep doing that. And yeah, I was divorced. And yeah, I'm going to keep going to church. I'm going to do my thing. So there was a great byproduct, but the optics of it, what I call when we look horizontal, right? When I'm just looking at eye level at other human beings, back then it could get filled with shame. It could get filled with lots of stuff because of the story I would interpret from them. And it was projection. I was just projecting that story on them. Oh, they must be thinking this and this and this about me. They're not thinking about me. People are selfish. They're thinking about themselves. So
Yeah,
what I've come to learn. And so, but when I look vertically, it shifts that. So I don't have to feel all the feelings, those negative feelings of people. I'm like, you know what? I'm good in God's eyes. I'm good. It's good. And that's honestly what healed the shame and such. So it's
well,
interesting.
congrats. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you were able to get yourself free from that. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. It is a gift, and the other gift of understanding our stories is that our stories and our like the wounds that we may experience, like my wound of abandonment, that was actually a gift. I'm a super connector. I love to help people feel like they belong. That is a beautiful thing in the world. And so oftentimes the very thing we're really great at is because there's a story beneath it. There's a story driving
Yeah.
it. What is it that I needed that I didn't get and I want to make sure the whole world has?
Yeah. It seems there is a awesome transformation there. Um, not only that, if you were to look on this perspective of looking back from your life, what's the biggest transformation? What's the most significant change that you can recognize it happened?
Wow. Um Acceptance. Acceptance is, if I put it into a single word, it would be acceptance. Acceptance of myself, which is the hardest acceptance I think for us to really have. If we're really honest, having self-acceptance is the most complicated thing for most humans. Um, Having acceptance of the shortcomings of other people and the limitations that other people have and how that affects my life. That right there really, that's what's coming out. That's what's surfacing. So I'm going with that because I know that our truest self comes out and we can't stop it. It'll just come out. So I'm like, wow, thank you for asking because that's really insightful to me. And that's what life is taught is just accept, surrender, and accept the process. It's like Michael Singer's work, just acceptance and surrender.
Yeah, that is powerful. And what kept you motivated to just carry on and continue and do put yourself out there like you just said? What was it? Is there anything? Well, I don't know.
Do you ever have that feeling like there's something more inside of you and you're
Oh
trying to
yeah.
get it? You're like, I know it's there and I'm just trying to unlock the door. It's like a Alice in the Wonderland type thing. And it's that curiosity and the wonder and the excitement and the delight of, oh wow, I'm having a tea party now. This is a wild, wonderful world. I think that's what's kept me going is that I believe that every person is put here with a purpose. And that purpose doesn't have to be changing the world. It could just be showing up and being kind to one person one day. I don't know. Everyone has a purpose and I don't know, I don't have to worry about what everyone's purpose is. But the cool thing is it's not just singular. It's not just, oh, I have this one purpose in life. And so that's what's kept me going is it's so exciting to think about. I wonder what's next. I wonder what opportunity I'm going to have to maybe be the recipient of somebody's kindness because receiving can be very complicated for a lot of us. I am one of those people. So maybe I'm going to receive somebody's kindness, or maybe I'm going to give just that curiosity and wonder of what is around the corner because there's more inside of me. And when I leave this earth, I don't want to leave with that story inside of me. I don't want to leave with the potential inside of me. I want to be like, dang, she went out, man. She went out with like, she gave like,
It's an endless search, right?
and a happy quest that I think is supposed to take an entire lifetime. And
Yeah.
then those are stories that are told for 2 or 3 generations that inspire other generations, right? We probably have family members where we can I think about my family that came across the border from Mexico in, the late 1800s and that part of my story. So that's 2 generations removed. Like so it's interesting to think about um, you know, what does that look like for the coming generations? And not that, oh, look to me, but yeah, we look to the stories of the people around us as inspiration or as cautionary tales. I hope to be inspiration.
Yeah. You think yeah. You have a perspective that about what you're going. It seems you really think about your legacy. You are concerned of leaving a good legacy. That's what I'm getting.
Well, here's what I know. This is what I know to be very true. And because I had this very cool experience and I was talking with God. I was actually laying on a forest floor, which sounds really crazy to
Wow.
most people, but I was just
Oh,
like
awesome.
laying down and just watching the clouds and the trees and just like talking with God. Like, And I had this overwhelming sense that I exist here on earth and I will exist on in heaven at some point, but either way I exist. And so I don't have to hustle or hurry for anything. I just want to do like my very best wherever I'm at. And so like well, I'm here on Earth. Cool. I exist here, but it doesn't like once I'm dead, I believe I still exist. So I don't even think so much about legacy necessarily because I'm like, I just feel like there's a continuation, even though my body wouldn't be here. I feel like there's this continuation. And I'm like, oh well, I'm still gonna exist. So I don't know what that looks like necessarily, but it was a huge that was like a year and a half ago, and that was a really big like breakthrough to think through.
Yeah. Well, those are I don't know. Yeah, those are nice. No, not nice.
Settling?
It's more than nice. No, they are. When we feel things like that, I mean, it's enlightening. It's good. It feels you. Yeah, yeah. I had recently about my. I al- I I don't want to say I always knew my purpose, but I had a pretty good idea. But this year I gained clarity, and that felt wonderful, amazing, whatever good word is there. Um, and I just know, well, I think that not everyone needs to know their purpose, but it's so damn good when you find yours.
It's fun. And do you think like when it comes to I think that there are multiple purposes. And so had other purposes and that's what I needed in order to see this purpose. I couldn't have gotten here if I hadn't been there. And so that's I think that that purpose can it's like bread that's rising. It's just a different version of the same thing. Or your son may have enjoyed Pokemon cards back when he was younger, or maybe still
Yeah,
does. And
yeah.
those Pokemon cards have evolutions to them, and it's still a Pikachu, but now it's an evolved Pikachu, and so it looks different and has different powers, but it still comes from this, and I think our purpose can be a lot like that, where it has the same root and the same ingredients and the same stuff substance, but it evolves and expands over time, and that is a gift.
I didn't think like that, but I totally agree. Yeah, why not? Yes. Wow. Thank you. Wow. Oh, Julie. Okay, I have here what I call impossible questions. I want to give you a scenario. I want to let's see. It's interesting because um, the idea here is to get your mind. The answer will come from your life experience, and it's interesting. Each answer is different, and it's so interesting. If I were to tell you that you have 1 year to accomplish everything that you value the most, you have to redo it, but you have 1 year. How would you do it? If you would do differently, what would be your approach? How no achieve perform?
That's really interesting because I just had some health issues this year, and that really made me consider, if you have limited time, what actually matters. And I lost my dad very abruptly, and so I am very I understand life is very fragile. And I've started living this out more this year. because of this. So that's really interesting because I'm like, oh, wow, I've actually been thinking along these lines a lot in 2025. Um, and what that looks like is I'm hyper present. I'm hyper present. So if I go to lunch with somebody and I know I don't have a meeting coming up, like that might go from a 1 hour lunch to a 3 hour lunch. If I like, so there's hyper presence. There's there have been times where I've missed meetings or something's come up where I used to, get frustrated with myself, like, oh my gosh, like, come on, girl, like, you are a professional. How can you? And now, part of that approach is like just taking things in stride. Like, if you're 6 feet under, is it going to matter? Well, guess what? I have this philosophy that I'm 6 feet above. So, you know what? Live like it matters. Like, in the best way. Those little things don't matter. Do not sweat the small stuff. And as you've seen, as we've spoken about earlier in this episode, I've niched down. I'm not offering public facing investments. I'm like going into this very private space, not private as in I'm not public and I don't talk to people or anything like that, but I'm focused on my coaching, I'm focused on my family. I have freed up and created margin in my life. So I have eliminated hustle and hurry from my life, and that is what that is what that is a real, actual lived out experience of my of that question.
Sorry for your loss,
Yeah.
and um, it's beautiful that you realized that you needed to uh, look to the things that matter the most. Yeah,
I,
and it's a shame that all us humans we need to lose things to get a wake up call or to value. It's just something that it's in us. So it's a shame that we all have to go through that. Yeah,
and all of the, like, I can look over and see awards and such. It's like, that doesn't matter. I mean, I've gotten rid of a ton of my dad's awards. I've gotten rid of like most of my grandpa's awards, right? Like, none of that matters. Like, I used to want to be like, okay, I'm going to be out there in the world and I'm going to change the world. And you know what? Actually, I could change the world, and it might be in a very quiet way. Like, it could be in a soft, gentle way. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it does shift things when we change our approach.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Congrats. That leads me to ask you what success looks like to you.
It is the lived experience. Success is, did I show up and live, or did I allow other things? For me, the other thing would be fear. Fear of insert anything. Fear can stop me. And so, did I live today? And am I living? And when I leave this earth, am I going to go out having actually lived? Or am I going to be still clinging onto fear so tightly that I wasn't able to release all the beautiful butterflies to the world? Like, we're all holding on to something beautiful and like throw confetti around, right? But if you're holding on tightly because you're afraid of things, you can't do that. And so when I think of success, it is, I didn't hold on too tightly. I knew what was important and I had a grip on it, but not so tight to strangle it. Money comes and goes. Everything, all the tangibles come and go. And
Yeah,
as we age, like, this body is fading out. So I'm like, can't count on that, So it's like, what do we have? Like, give generously from the heart, live generously, live kindly, give. That is success to me.
why why are we so afraid, right? I don't know. It's yeah,
FOPO, we're
Even
feared of people's opinions, like, "Oh, wow, like, I'm supposed to retire when I'm supposed to. We have all these things I'm supposed to. At this age, I'm supposed to be this, I'm supposed to be that. I should have this much money. I should have this in my career. I should like we just put all these things, but it's coming from the outside onto us. And we wonder why we're suffocating. We're wondering why it feels like a bunch of bricks just piling on us. It's not coming. It's not an inside out life. It's like just piling on you. And so releasing that.
yeah, yeah. But I also think it's fear of the unknown, because this
Mm.
morning in a coffee with my wife, we were talking, and she's kind of she has more fear. She's being freeing herself, but she's not there yet. But she's done. She has been doing an amazing job uh, with herself. But I told her an example. We know how to spend money. That's we are not, let's say we're not afraid of spending money, but we are afraid of maybe using that same amount of money into investing in ourselves. That
Mm.
was the example,
Oh,
because it's unknown.
that's
We don't.
scary.
Yeah, that's scary because we don't know the output. Yeah, I will invest in myself, but I'm not sure of this or that. Or but when you buy something, yeah, it's there. Because we know that. So maybe I think it's also the unknown
Well, and
that we
when we're
fear.
investing in ourselves, there's also a sobering moment of like, do I believe I can really do this? Do I believe this person can really help me? Do I like I'm on the line now. I remember the first time I invested in myself in that way and that was in my mind. I had to process through and work through that. And
Yeah,
and I bet on myself. I'm so glad I did. It completely changed my life. Yeah, but
yeah,
fear of the unknown, I mean, we want certainty and surety. That's human. That's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We just
yeah,
want to know we're going to be okay, and we don't want to just have to be at the bottom rung of just having our basic needs met. We actually, want to climb up that hierarchy of needs, and we want to have like self actualization and stuff. Like, really, that's what humans want. But
yeah.
we get stuck in that primitive, like, is everything okay?
Yeah, and I think that's the break point that not everyone makes it beyond that point
Yeah.
that you just said. So you can do things differently. You can experiment different results, and yeah, yeah. Anyway,
These are great
um,
questions.
oh, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate it.
my my last one is, what I want to give you, Julie, a billboard. How would you use it? What do you want to put there in a billboard? Julie's billboard.
Julie's billboard gets to say whatever it wants to say. I just want people to know that, they have it. It's in them, and most of us just need to recalibrate, and that's all we need to do. We just need to go through a recalibration process, and we're gonna be golden. Like, shed the old skin, find the treasures in the past, and, like, get going. Like, life is too short for us to not be doing that. Life is too short to live in the past. Life's too short to be hustling for the future. Like, just, like, be present, enjoy the process, buckle up, and, like, have a life that's lived. Live it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sums up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, yes. Uh, I only want to say that, imagine the way I described myself as always being an achiever, and my wife the opposite of not never believing in herself. So I'm just
We have the
mentioning that
same
because
marriage.
huh?
We have the same marriage. My
Okay,
husband,
that's
that's my husband's like, there's always I feel like most marriages have one and the other. It's one of those type things.
okay. Okay, yeah, no, I don't know, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
a conversation for another time, maybe over a wine. All the couples. Okay, but yeah, so you can imagine now that how much pain I endured by looking, seeing, watching someone that I love not believing in herself. Well, finally, my dream came true, and last year she wanted to change, and she started to change, and she's a new person in those terms. So, um, what you just said sums up what I believe. I was there firsthand, but I believe that we all can achieve.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. That's funny. I literally, I mentioned I'm working on this marriage content on my podcast this week that's out there in the world, and this is a piece of social content that I created that's coming out soon with a picture of my husband I took of him, and he looks kind of sad. He wasn't sad, but he looks like sad, but it's talking about how when I identified as a high performer and as so outcomes focused, just how hard it was. And we were in two different operating systems, and it made it very difficult for us to enjoy and appreciate each other. More me than him, because it's like, why can't you just get going? Come on already. Like, chop chop. We have things to do. Like, we're not here yet. We haven't reached this benchmark and we're falling behind. And like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful God intervened in my life. And that I'm not
Yeah,
that person. She was she was a wonderful person, but there are some sharp edges that have been refined, and I'm grateful.
yeah, glad for that. Yes, yes, I can resonate. I totally know what you're saying. Uh, and it seems that we both, in parallel, from distance, with our significant others, we basically met, right? Uh, how do we say that? We met each other's halfway. Help me here, please. We met halfway.
I didn't meet him halfway. I was not nice. You're so much
Okay.
better than I am, Fernando. I'm like, I just got to be honest. She was a driver and she was not very nice. I did not meet halfway. I was like, um, but I've become I have grown so much. And he has
Yeah.
grown too. And I think maybe that's what you're trying to say is like maybe it's
Yes.
not even a halfway point. It's more of a meeting of the minds. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
we're not like coming to an actual halfway point because it's different in different ways for both of us. And so, like, I bet he would say, "Oh no, I went like 75% of the way for you, honey." Like I, I was way more than halfway. Like, and so, and that's the beauty of marriage. We really should be going 100% of the way for each other.
Yes.
But I wasn't that way, and so, but I think that you get to a meeting of the minds where you both realize like he did need to grow in these areas. And because he had more to offer, he had more to give. And I had more to offer, but I couldn't offer it from that perspective in that operating system and the views that I had. It was actually debilitating. And so I don't know if that's helpful.
It is. It is. So meeting of the minds. That's a
Yeah.
perfect explanation. But you were the wife. You can say that. I can't. So I'll stick with meet halfway. Okay.
Just tell her, "Honey, I know that you went 100% of the way, and I'm
Yes.
glad that I went 50% of the way at least."
Oh man. Yes. 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 Well, I would ask you about books, but you already have recommended some. But I'm talking about resources other than books. Recommend anything.
I highly recommend my podcast. You can listen to real estate investing because it's all on the same podcast. So now there are over 750 episodes available. So I have like 115 episodes on identity level recalibration. So if you're looking at like, how do I actually just shift and make some of these moves without overwhelming myself, without feeling the pressure, without feeling like I have to perform, this podcast, The Recalibration, is for you. So the first season is
Okay.
all about how the recalibration process works. And we're in season 2 right now. And season 2 is all about what that looks like specifically week by week. We tackled leadership, we tackled burnout, because burnout actually isn't what we think it is. Usually it's just because we're misaligned and we just need to recalibrate. And it's really simple. And all of a sudden, like, boom, life is in the groove. So we talk about marriage, burnout, leadership, just lots of different nuanced areas and what recalibration looks like in those areas.
Okay. Where do we find YouTube, Spotify?
Everywhere. It is available everywhere.
Good. So it's
Yeah.
called direct calibration.
Yep. The recalibration or
The
the
recalibration.
recalibration. Yep.
Okay. Good. Good. Julie, it was a journey, more than I expected. I felt goosebumps all over. You taught me so much, so I expect everyone that watching, it's gonna be watching, that can learn as much as I did. And I thank you for your time and participation. And yeah, any last messages?
No, I appreciate you, and I've learned through this conversation as well. So this has been really great, and you asked such great questions, and you are a really great listener. So that's one of the great byproducts of podcasting. Final one, I learned to ask really good questions.
Yes, yes, exactly. I learned the questions are more important than finding the answers. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
thank you so much for your time and for inviting me to the show. It's been amazing.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye bye.